Good morning, Stampers. Welcome to Learning with Friends. My name is Pat Fairless, and I am from Fairless Stampin Flair. And since it is the second Thursday of the month, it is template time. So template time is a sketch, basically a card sketch or a card layout. And I'm going to show you one of my favorites. It doesn't have as much versatility as some sketches do, but I like it. There's something about it that just speaks to me. So let's just flip the camera over and get started. My mouse is not cooperating with me today. It keeps getting lost. All right, there we go. So this is the sketch or the template that we're going to be using. And what I really like about it is this diagonal element that goes across there. It just speaks to me. I don't know. I like it. I always feel like adding something on a diagonal always adds a little bit of interest. So we're going to make a card. I have not made this card. I am well prepped to make it. In fact, in that I have all the pieces cut and put together. Not put together. Some of them are put together. But the main thing here is to teach you how to do this layout, because there are a couple things that I've had issues with when I don't use it for a long time and I come back. There's one important step that I often forget, and so I want to make sure I point that out to you. So the pieces are, we have a card base here, which I have cut mine to 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. You can also make it the horizontal opening if you want. Sometimes we like to change our layouts or our sketches to be in the landscape mode as opposed to portrait. This one is not great for this portrait or the landscape mode, and I'll try to show you why. But I usually put a layer on here, and this layer is very helpful. Now, if you're a person who doesn't like layers, you can do it without the layer, but it is helpful in many respects, particularly if you're doing a card that opens in traditional fashion with the fold over here. If you don't want to add a layer, and the template does show a layer, but if you don't want to add a layer, then I would definitely recommend that you use this vertical orientation, and you'll see why as we start to assemble this. So our next thing is we need to make our diagonal pieces, and you're going to want to make these longer than this is wide, because obviously it's hard to measure. Okay. The other thing that is virtually impossible to figure out is what angle to cut these on, to cut them if you try to cut it to the exact length. I've never been successful in getting that to work out. So I always make them longer. This is about 6 inches, and that seems to work good, which is right in line with our 6x6 designer series paper. And we're going to hear that on here. Now, I am using the paper from the beautiful Bokeh suite in the new mini catalog. I guess it's not so new anymore. It's been around a month. This suite starts on page 38, and it has these gorgeous butterflies in here that you can make cards shaped like a butterfly with the dies. It actually comes as the bundle includes a hybrid embossing folder. And but we're not using this stamp set today for ours, but we are going to use this beautiful Bokeh paper. And I wanted to just show you that quickly. There are 6 different designs, and you get 8 of each. So here's, quickly flip. This one's kind of a multicolor. Here is Balmy Blue. We've got Berry Burst, and you can see the Bokeh pattern. The Bokeh pattern are these sort of faded looking dots in here. That's what's called Bokeh. Fresh Freesia, Calypso Coral, and this really bright and cheery Daffodil Delight. Now, if you flip them over on the other side, They're kind of all over patterns, and I would almost say many of them look like they have water spots. Some more than others, some have more than one color. This one looks very water spotty to me, which sometimes we try to do. I try to do it, but I'm not always very successful. So if I want that look, this one would be great. This one has some nice water spot looking, and so does this Calypso Coral here. So it has 6 different designs, and you do get 8 of each. So I have used the one that's kind of the multicolor piece, which is this piece right here. And I embossed it with the So Swirly embossing folder. And we are just going to adhere that to our Azure Afternoon diagonal strip. All right, so let me just add some adhesive. I am going to use my, I am a seal person, although I'm using liquid adhesive more and more, or as we lovingly call it, green glue, because the bottle's green, glue's not green. So we're just going to add a layer. This layer can be anything. I embossed it. You don't have to emboss it. You can use designer paper. You could use just a solid color cardstock. You don't have to do the layers. I just think it adds a little bit. Now here's the thing we need to make sure. Lots of times we like to emboss this layer, and if we do, that's fine. I'm going to show you some cards where I did that. And we often will emboss it and then just adhere it to the card front. Most important thing to remember about this template is don't adhere this to your card front until you get this piece glued down. And you'll see why. So I'm gonna put mine on directly. I've done them. You can use dimensionals. If you want to use dimensionals, then what I would suggest is use some temporary adhesive and put it right down on the card so that you know where to trim it. And that is the number one thing that you have to remember when you use this template, is that you want to adhere this diagonal piece to your card front, and you can put it pretty much anywhere as long as your length allows. You can make it as steep or as flat as you want. It might depend on what you want to do up here in the corners. I usually just put mine, I don't know, it's probably 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch down from the top. I like to get the most diagonal out of it I can. And now here's the main thing. You want this on here, whether it's temporary and you take it off and put dimensionals on it later, because you need to flip this over, take your paper snips and trim along this edge. Because like I said, if you try to cut these at an angle and then put it down, good luck. I have tried and tried, because sometimes you sort of forget if you don't use a template very often. I have messed that up enough times where I've had to pull cards apart because and remake the angles, because it is almost impossible to get it the right length on a diagonal with the right angles. So that's it. Then you're just going to put it to the front. Okay. Get my tape going here. And I'm going to adhere mine directly to the front. The only thing I'm going to pop up on today's card is the little center ornamentation that I showed as a circle. Oh, it moved as I went to put it down. So let me just lift that up a minute. Do you have that happen? Sometimes that happens to me. And usually I get my nose right down there. Okay. It's down. Now I'm going to do some stamping on here. You can do that before or after you put this down. I would typically try to do it before, in all honesty, because now if I mess up my stamping, I've already got this on here. But let's keep our fingers crossed that I don't mess up our stamping too bad. Because I don't have a good sample to show you. This is the card. I have not made this card. I am using a new online exclusive stamp set called Spring Corners. I picked this one out because it's a little bit different. It has sentiments that go on the corners. It has some designs that you can stamp on the corners. There's some little tiny flowers here, and there's these balloons, which I like. And it's kind of all location. There's a lot of different sentiments, so that's great. But the thing I really liked were these dies. This die here, you can cut a piece and make a stencil and decorate the corners with these little pieces. Just a lot of variety and different than something that I have in my collection so far. I don't really have anything like that. So we're using that today, and we're just going to put this, oh, I have to move it down a little bit because it was right in the way of the camera. All right, Pat, don't muff it up. It'll work. I take it. All right, and then I'm just going to put a birthday sentiment down here. The sentiments on this stamp set they seem to be meant to go mainly in this upper right corner. Wishing you an amazing day. You could put it like this, wishing you an amazing day. On the bottom, not so much. They're kind of upside down. So, like, I had thought about put happy we are friends down here in this corner, but then the our friends is upside down. So we're just going to stamp the straight little happy birthday down here in the corner. We'll see if I can get it straight. There we go. That'll work. We'll take it. I didn't mess it up. Now, the next thing I did is I stamped 4 of these balloons, and I colored them with various color Stampin' Blends, and I kind of adhered them together down here in the corner to just make a little balloon bouquet. And I thought, I'm just going to stick that right on here. Now, let me show you the sketch in case you forgot. This just shows a circle. This circle, if you can see on here, I put any size or shape focal point. And of the other cards I'm going to show you, I didn't make one with a circle. The circles were great, but I wanted to show you some alternatives. So we're going to add this, and I am going to adhere this part of it down here where the little strings come together. I'm going to adhere that directly to the paper. And then I'm going to take some little mini dimensionals. And I probably could have put these on here before. I probably would have been easier to do that than to glue it down. But I kind of wanted to see where they were going to be. So we're just going to put some little dimensionals on the back of these balloons. And since I hadn't done this before, I would now recommend that you do that before. This is a little awkward, but it'll work, right? We'll get there. Because I want these popped up just a little bit. So put as many on there as you think you need. I guess for me, I like dimensionals, and I like to make sure they stay. So I'm probably going to put 2 on each one. Out of frame. I have a tendency, I've noticed, when I watch my videos back to see if I have to do it over, basically. I have a real tendency, and I apologize for this, I'm trying to be more cognizant of it, but when I work on things, I tend to pull them close to me, and I do a lot of my work down here in this way low corner, and sometimes you probably can't even see what I'm doing. That's really sort of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? So I am trying really hard to be more aware to keep this. Oh, and that pulled off. All right, that's easier anyway. All right, it's still sticky because it was, you know. All right, so let's put that back on there. Should have put those on there before. That's what happens when you haven't made the card before, is you don't figure out all that stuff. And so you guys learn with me. So, okay, let's put that down, and we're just gonna lightly tap down these dimensionals. And now those have a little bit of height behind them, which I think looks nice. And let me grab a glue dot, and I pre-made this little Azure afternoon bow, tiny little bow, and I am just going to stick that here with a glue dot on my, so it looks like it's holding them together. And that is my simple card. Other than, I think we need a little bit of bling, and I found these iridescent foil gems in my stash. Don't ask me if they're current or not, because I don't know. But when gems run out, I use them. I'm not going to throw them away. So do I want the big ones? There's two different sizes. It's a pretty clean, simple card. Let me just put a couple larger ones, and they do not want to come off from there. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to put one down here. Do I want them here, or do I want one down here? This is kind of a plain blank area, isn't it? But I don't know. I'm having a hard time getting these little gems. They're sticking all over my fingers. There, and there, or down here. Which way do you like? I think I'm going to leave that kind of plain. I don't know. I'm making a project of it. Oh, what the heck. We're just going to stick it down here. Or up here. It keeps sticking to my finger. There we go. Yeah, that'll work. So that was kind of what that needed. It just needed a little bit of a bling. So that's the card with the template that I wanted to show you. I completed the inside already, and I used one of these corner dies. And what I discovered, I thought, I didn't pay good attention with this die. And when I looked at it like this, I assumed it was just going to cut out these holes. And that was really what I kind of wanted up here. But when I cut it out, I got the whole thing cut out. So I just laid it right back down in there, added some balloons. This is from the stamp set called Happy Labels. I'm so happy you were born. And I did add a little piece. I had a scrap of my designer series paper left, so I didn't want it to go away, so I just stuck it down here. So that's her card. Use my favorite way of doing an envelope, just by covering the flat. But let me try to show you, or let me show you, not try, I will, the other two cards that I made. So the next card I made is with the Storybook Friends bundle. I have little dimensional things everywhere. You see them everywhere? I clean off my space. All right, so I made this one with Storybook Friends, and this is the designer series paper that is in that suite. One is Timeless Plaid, which is 6x6, and the other one is Storybook Memories. And it's got some really cute designs. I think I showed this a couple weeks ago, so I'm not going to show it again. These are all there's 2 sheets of images that you can punch out, just like push out. They're partially die cut already. So I just picked these this little couple here of, I think they're foxes. Look like foxes to me because they got big long tails. But they were all dolled up, what looked to be like in their Easter attire. So I made it into an Easter card. That stamp set does have an Easter greeting stamp set. These little flowers are from that. Here for my focal point, I used a die from Thoughtful Expressions dies. So that's what I mean by, even though the template shows circle, you can make this any shape you want. Depending on what you decide to use, you may want to vary the width of your diagonal stripe a bit, just so it looks proportional with what you have. And then this is from a super old stamp set, so old it's still wood mounted. I think it was one of the first ones I bought when I became a demonstrator, but I love it. So it's one of my favorite Easter ones. He is not here, but he's risen. So I have that card that was made using that sketch. And then the last card I'm going to show you is made with this new online exclusive called Everyday Arches. And these arches here, there's lots of layering and different size arches. So I thought that would be fun. This die right here is from the, oh, I don't have my tutorial. This is from Linked Together. That's called these little, so I made a window with these over it. But this paper here, this designer paper on this strip and the background is from some new Everyday Skies designer paper. And I just thought I'd show you this quickly. If you love scenery kinds of designer paper, this is the one that's on the card behind the window. That's the scene behind the window, is this particular piece of designer paper. Here's another beautiful sky. Here's a little bit more muted, but lots of stars up here. Nice bright colors. This one looks a little maybe more what you would normally expect with a sky. This one certainly looks like skies we have here in Michigan often. This one I think is beautiful. You can see the sun's kind of setting or rising, I'm not sure. And there's some really bold, bright ones, and there's some that are just, you know, a little more muted and maybe a little bit more realistic. This one actually has 12 different designs. I just showed you all of them, and there's 4 of each. The back sides are very nicely usable, more generic designs. There are several that do have a lot of stars like this. Here's a couple different colors, tons of colors in here. Stripes. This one has little tiny birds flying in there. I'll bring that close. I don't know if you can see that. Here's some more birds in different colors. And then we have these brush stroke backgrounds, some more stars, stripes, and here's some more birds on bubble bath, I think. So 12 different designs, 4 of each of that, and it is called Everyday Skies. It is an online exclusive. So if you're not used to checking out online exclusives, there's lots of good things out there that they're coming out with. So that is that card. And then I had made one more because it is Valentine's Day tomorrow. So I thought we needed a Valentine card. And I used the stamp set heart-shaped, the bundle heart-shaped from a celebration item. And just some hearts from some other stamp sets that I have around. Be Mine. There's one that's still in the annual catalog called Country Bouquet, and a lot of these hearts were from that. But this is from the heart shapes and die cuts. So here again, any shape. You've seen we've got hearts, and I did the same thing on the envelope. And the inside, I've stamped some down the side. So there's my Valentine's card. I show you the inside. I showed you that inside. This inside, I just had a couple scraps left, so I used those on there. So you can see template shows a round centerpiece. I backed some with designer series paper. I have a couple here that are just embossed cardstock. This one we stamped on. We have balloons, arch, figures, and a heart. So I didn't use a circle, but you certainly can. It works really nicely with the circle as well, that you can then stamp anything on it. So that's our template. I hope you like that. And I hope you'll give it a try. It's a great template. It's easy. You can see how quick and easy it went together. The only thing is just be sure before you adhere your layer on the top of your card base that you put your diagonal first so you can trim the edges, because otherwise it's problematic if you try to cut an angle after you have it down. And once you have it down, it's hard to cut. And let me flip back and just show you that real quick a second here. So like on this card, where it opens in this direction, it would be very difficult if you had already glued this designer series paper down to get this in here and trim it. You'd have to put it out here on the edge. If you do it where it opens in this direction, obviously you could trim it. But if you have a card that opens to the side, then make sure you get that down first, because it's super difficult to get a nice trim and it looks like it was designed to fit. So that's it. Template time Thursday for February, and I hope you like it. I hope you try it. I'd love to see your comments. What do you think? And if you have questions or suggestions, I'd love those too, because we're here to learn together and I need to learn as well. So with that, have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you next week with another technique of some sort. I'm still trying to figure that one out. I got a little bit behind in my planning. So we'll figure it out before next week. So have a great one, and God bless. Bye-bye.